Yeah, it's still telling me waiting for Dezombified.
This is an emergency
There
transmission.
we go.
Citizens of the world, please, make no mistake. The zombie apocalypse is near. Will you cower and hide, or join us and fight? We are Dezombified. So stay on point and watch your six.
Good morning, Z-Horde family. I'll do a quick mic check here. If you guys can hear me in the chat, give us a thumbs up or anything to let me know that you can hear me. That'd be great. All right. Thank you, Evil Outcast, for letting me know there. Hi, Mimina. Hi, EO. And good morning, Z-Horde. Welcome to another episode of Radio Z, powered by Dezombified. We've put together a little interesting show for you guys today, and I'm going to welcome in my partner in crime, Steve Stockton, coming in.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going?
Morning, Steve. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. See who we got in the chat. Mia, Mary P, EO. Good morning, folks.
Hey, Mary P. Thank you for joining us.
Adjust my mic there so I can see the chat better. Got it on a boom arm here, and it's between me and the monitor. How are you doing today, Tanya?
I'm okay.
Still cold and snowy in the UK, or got better?
No, it's cold and sunny and windy again. The weather reports that there was meant to be another storm supposedly heading our way, Storm Dennis or something, but
yeah,
I don't know. Looking on the weather, it's a possibility it may miss
another
us.
one headed across the Atlantic for you.
Yep.
Out my color weather window here, it's dark in Portland, Oregon, 41 degrees currently. Got rain coming in today, later today, and then all week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So, welcome to the Pacific Northwest in the wintertime. We're to a high of 50 today.
Hey, Sean Boothman. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again.
Hi, Sean. Good to see you in here again.
Give a few minutes, let a few more people come in. Yeah, the Zombified music sounds great from my end.
Yeah, I can hear the music in today. And the ones with us yesterday, yeah, we had some sort of audio problems later in the
I think a goblin creeped in from somewhere.
Yeah, we got a gremlin or something in there.
It really was weird though. You sounded like either a robot or a demon possessed you.
Yeah, it was.
I was wondering who I was going to have to fight to get you back.
Yeah, everything was sped up and dropped about 2 octaves. It sounded like, so don't know what was going on with that, but I have no clue.
Seems to have sorted itself out now, so maybe the gremlin just up and left. So.
Yeah. Hopefully it buggered off and won't have any problems today.
And guys, don't forget to smash that like button until it screams. Just excuse the man with the genital size problem go past my house. Sorry. Driving a big car in a small town, they've got to be making up for something, right?
Absolutely.
EO ate the gremlin. Thank you.
Give it just a few more minutes here and see if a few more wander in before we kick it off here. Hope everybody's doing all right today. You got good weather wherever you are, at least tolerable weather. It is winter time. Looking forward to it being as warm as it was when I complained about it being hot last year.
Yeah. There's just no pleasing humans. Moan if it's too cold, moan if it's too hot.
Take a quick look at the headlines here and see if there's anything worth mentioning. Usually the news is bad or not worth repeating. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. Don't care for politics and things like that, so there's not much in the news other than the virus coming out of China. How's your numbers there, Tanya? I don't know, the other day in the UK it doubled from 4 to 8.
Yes, it did. I haven't looked up on any other reports since then, but yeah, they closed a GP surgery in Brighton because of it. 8 cases have been reported so far, and I think that had actually doubled within about a day. So yeah, it's a scary thought how quickly it spreads.
Yeah. I'll stay out of China for a while. I like visiting that area. I've never been to the mainland. I've been to Hong Kong and
yeah,
a lot of the surrounding countries over there. That was always a plan, was to go back and visit the Chinese mainland, but I don't know now. Stay away from.
The one thing that I am seriously disagreeing with at the moment is Chinese people over here, and it's in other countries too, they're being hated on because of it. There's nothing wrong with these people, and they're sat with other people that are on a bus. There's nothing wrong with them, but some passenger decides to get up and hate on them just because they're Chinese. They come from that country, and because of what's going. Yeah,
but anybody. So
exactly.
Good morning, Relatives in Perspective. Glad to see you back with us.
Thank you for joining us.
Give it just a couple more minutes to see if anybody else comes in before we get rolling here. That's the nice thing about this show. No hurries, no worries. Just come in as you please. Watching now.
I was just reading Sean Boothman's comment there. On another note, I'm selling plague masks at a greatly reduced price. Anybody after a plague mask, go hit up Sean Boothman.
Pile off this of the people selling those masks. But from what I'm understanding, just the little ones that cover your nose and mouth aren't all that beneficial anyway. It can pass through that. Plus, it can you can catch it through your eyes.
Exactly, yeah.
Like the N50 or above the N95 grade respirator mask to get fully protected. Even then, who knows? So.
I'm going to go pull my script up here. You have yours?
Yep.
Cool.
You want to do the intro or you want me to do it today?
I'll do it, I don't mind. Today, we have for you all 10 lesser-known unsolved mysteries. The mysterious death of a journalist who was investigating a government conspiracy Two people with the same name who were murdered just days apart in the same city. An elderly man who was possibly killed due to witchcraft. These are just some of the unsolved mysteries you'll find in this list. So please listen on, and as Robert Stack used to say, perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery or two yourself.
I remember that show. Okay, you want me to lead off here with the first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember this one. The Loomis, Fargo and Company semi-truck heist. Around 7:30 on the night of March 24, 1999, a transport truck carrying a trailer full of cash from Loomis, Fargo and Company left a depot in Sacramento, heading towards a depot in San Francisco. It was an easy route. The truck only made 2 stops along the way. One at an intersection before the driver entered the highway, and a second at a way station on the interstate. The driver and 2 guards in the cab of the truck didn't notice anything unusual along the way. As they pulled into the depot in San Francisco, they opened the trailer and were shocked to find a hole in the road. Now, their immediate thought was, even though they didn't notice it, that the hole was created by some natural phenomenon, like a lightning strike. Of course, I would think they would have noticed that too, but the alarm hadn't been triggered. When the Loomis employees went to look for damage, they saw that $2.3 million, which weighed approximately 250 pounds, was missing from the truck. How the brazen heist went down, according to the actual police investigation, is that when the truck left the depot in Sacramento, there was someone or someones waiting on the roof or above the garage door. They jumped down on the roof of the detached trailer, and since the roof was only thin aluminum, the suspects cut a hole and dropped in. The suspect or suspects then unloaded the money and escaped without being detected by the Loomis guards and driver. There was one eyewitness to the crime, and they said that they saw one man climbing down from the side of the transport trailer and running away. No suspects have ever been named in the action movie style robbery, and the case has gone cold. I don't know on that. It kind of sounds like an inside job to me.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
very well organized there.
Yeah, the planning and things that would have to go into that. And they just saw one guy running away. I don't think he was running away with 250 pounds of money.
No.
And I'm also kind of surprised that the trailer that the money was in is only made out of thin aluminum. Usually it's in an armored car of some sort.
Yeah.
You'd have to have an acetylene torch or something to cut through it. I don't know. It's like I said, it was well planned and well organized and well thought out, because up to now they got away with it.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the chat.
And if you have any of that 250 pounds of money, toss a couple pounds this way.
All donations are greatly appreciated.
Hey, donate to the channel. We'll gladly take ill-gotten gains here. We'll put it to good use for the channel.
Next, we have the Circleville writer. Circleville, Ohio is only a short drive from Columbus and is home to about 13,000 people. The Pickaway County town is best known for being home to a popular pumpkin festival that's held every year in October. Circleville seems like an innocuous little town, but it's also home to a bizarre series of crimes that started in 1976, where residents of the town began receiving disturbing letters in the mail. In all, thousands of letters were sent out to many residents living in Pickaway County. All of the letters were written in block lettering and were disturbing in nature. They often contained unsettling personal details about the recipients' lives. In some cases, the letters accused the recipients of immoral acts or sinister crimes. The unknown writer would often sign off with some type of threat, and at times the threats were directed at the children of the recipient. The first known letter was sent to a school bus driver, Mary Gillespie, in early 1976. The unknown author said that he knew Mary was having an affair with the superintendent of the schools and that she should end it. If she didn't, there would be dire consequences. The writer said that he was watching the house and knew that Mary had children. Thinking it was just a sick prank, she ignored the note. But then a shorter time later, she received 2 more letters, but again she kept them secret. It was only after her husband, Ron, received a similar letter that she confided in him that she had previously received the 3 letters. She said that she wasn't having an affair and didn't know who was sending the letters. Unsure what to do, Ron and Mary decided to discuss the matter, and Ron's sister, her husband, Paul Freshour, and Paul's sister, they discussed who could have possibly sent the letters and came up with one suspect. They wrote a few of their own letters telling him to stop. It seemed to work because for a while the letters stopped. On the night of August 1977 at about 11:30 p.m, Ron Gillespie got a mysterious phone call that seemed to confirm the identity of the writer. Ron grabbed his handgun and drove off in the family's pickup truck to confront the writer. Sadly, a short distance away from his house, Ron's truck was found after it had driven off the road and collided with a tree. Ron was killed in the accident. The investigation of the scene revealed some unusual details, notably that Ron's gun had been fired once. Also, his blood alcohol level was found to be 1.5 times the legal limit. Due to his blood alcohol level, his death was ruled a drunk driving accident. But this didn't sit well with people who knew Ron, because it wasn't like him to drink excessively. The police also interviewed the man that Gillespie thought was sending the letters and ruled him out as a suspect. So who was Ron going to meet on the night that he died? As the 1980s roll around, more letters with a unique block printing continued to be mailed out. These new letters were sent out to different residents, politicians, and community leaders in and around Circleville. The letters were always malicious and threatening. While the anonymous letter writer was threatening many other people in the county, the letter writer had not given up his vendetta against Mary I don't know why I keep having so much trouble with that name. Gillespie, I am sorry. After her husband's death, Mary admitted that she was in a relationship with the school superintendent, but claimed that they only started seeing each other after the letters had started. In 1983, Mary was still a school bus driver, and instead of only sending her letters, the writer had taken to leaving large signs along her bus route. One of the signs was a threat towards her daughter, so she got off her bus and tore the sign down. When she did, she noticed that there was a string attached to the sign that led to a box sitting on a post. Inside the box was a small pistol. She realized that it was actually a booby trap. The gun was supposed to fire when she tore the sign down. The police retrieved the gun and found that the serial number had been filed off. They were able to recover the number and trace the gun back to none other than Paul Freshour, Mary's former brother-in-law. Freshour, who was married to Ron Gillespie's sister, was brought in for questioning. He said that he did own a small pistol, but it had been lost or someone had stolen it. The police asked Freshour to do a handwriting analysis test, and he agreed. He was given a sample of the writer's unique block lettering and told to emulate it. After performing the test, a forensic handwriting professional said that Freshour's writing matched the block lettering of the malicious Circleville letters. This was troubling because handwriting analysis was not a reliable form of evidence because they can be inaccurate. Yet using the handwriting analysis and the gun as evidence, Freshour was charged with the attempted murder of Mary Gillespie. At his trial in 1984, the prosecutor presented the evidence, and Freshour's boss testified that the day the booby trap was set up, Freshour was not at work. Freshour apparently had an alibi for the morning in question, but he never explained that because he never took the stand in his own defense. After deliberating for a few hours, the jury found him guilty and he received the maximum sentence of 7 to 25 years in prison. When Freshour was in prison, the letters with similar block letters were still being sent out at an alarming rate. Due to the complaints from residents, Freshour was placed was placed in solitary confinement, and all his mail was closely monitored. Yet people continued to receive the threatening letters. All of them had a postmark of Columbus, and Freshour was in prison in Lima, Ohio. After 7 years in prison, Freshour applied for parole. Although he was a well-behaved inmate, his parole application was denied because of how many letters were still being mailed out. After being denied parole, Freshour himself received a taunting letter that said, Now when you are going to believe you aren't going to get out of there. I'm sorry, I completely read that wrong. Now when are you going to believe you aren't going to get out of there? I told you 2 years ago. When we set up, they stay set up, and always denied that he had anything to do with the letters. As the decade came to an end, the letters didn't stop. Whoever was writing and mailing the disturbing letters carried on their bizarre campaign of terror into the 1990s. Albeit with less frequency, in 1993, Unsolved Mysteries did a story about the strange events in Circleville, and they too received a note from the writer that said, Forget Circleville, Ohio. If you come to Ohio, you El Secos will pay. It was signed, the Circleville writer. As the years went by, the letters stopped, as mysteriously as they had started. To this day, some people are unsure if Freshour was the Circleville writer, or if he was an innocent man who spent 10 years in prison. Poor Freshour died June 28, 2012, proclaiming his innocence to the end.
Amazing story.
Yeah.
Say hi to RHI and Evilvitch. Sure, Andy, good morning. Mutant Artificial Intelligence. Also,
Hey, Mutant. Hey, Andy.
See everybody. Yeah, I remember when all that was happening with those letters, and it sounded like they were just hounding the poor guy. I mean, if he's in prison, he's in solitary confinement, yet they're denying him parole because people are still receiving the letters. But
yeah,
like that would be evidence that he didn't do it, or maybe he had written a big stack of them before he went to the pen and somebody else was mailing them out. I don't know, just a lot of strange circumstances there, and just the fact that it continued for years. I think it's fascinating. Number 8, we have Christine Skubish. On June 29th, 1990, a couple was driving along Highway 50 in the Sierra Nevada foothills. On the side of the road, they saw the naked body of a woman. They didn't stop, but instead continued to drive on. As soon as they could, they contacted the police. The couple led police back to the spot where they saw the woman, but she was nowhere to be found. Instead, the police found evidence that a car had been driven off the side of the road. That's when they saw a car 40 feet below the embankment that had collided with a tree. They got down to the car. They found 24-year-old Christine Skubish and her 3-year-old son, Nick. They had gone missing 5 days before, and sadly, Christine had died on impact. After she had hit the tree, it collapsed on her and pinned her. Amazingly, Nick was alive in the passenger seat. He was naked and was suffering from hypothermia and dehydration. Excuse me. If Christine died on impact 5 days prior, she couldn't have been the naked woman that the couple saw. While it could have been Nick, the couple was positive that they saw the body of a woman with her bent legs together and an arm over her head, not a young boy. Also, it would have been difficult for the boy to climb up the 40-foot embankment after 5 days with no food and water, and then climb back down and get into the passenger seat. Without any other explanation, some people believe that it was the spirit of Christine trying to save her son. I've watched an interview with a couple one time that happened to, and they swear up and down that there was a woman there, and they think that it was her spirit, and that the spirit appeared naked just to get somebody's attention.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering how the boy got naked, unless I guess a 3-year-old might be able to strip off. I know said he was suffering from hypothermia, and that's one of the things with hypothermia.
Unless something had happened to them both prior. That's probably what they were running from. I mean, it said that they'd been missing for 5 days.
Yeah.
They could have possibly been running from something traumatic. Who knows?
Interesting. I don't know the entire circumstances, but I have seen the interview with those people, and it's fascinating. It's worth a look if you want to search for it on YouTube.
Next we have here the Midwest College students. Around 1 a.m. on October 30th, 2002, 21-year-old Erica Marie Dalkeist was waiting with her friends for a taxi after a night of drinking in Brainerd, Minnesota. She saw a man she knew and left with him. That was the last time anyone saw her. 24 hours later, 127 miles away in Minneapolis, after a night of partying to celebrate Halloween, 21-year-old student Christopher Jenkins seemingly vanished into thin air. The next weekend, on November 6th, another student disappeared. This time it was Michael Knoll, who disappeared from Eau
Claire,
Wisconsin, after celebrating his 22nd birthday. Finally, on November 9th, 11 days after Erica Dalkeist disappeared, 20-year-old Josh Gimmond went missing from Collegeville, Minnesota. Like the three others before him, Gimmond disappeared after a night of drinking. For months, the whereabouts of the four young people was unknown, and four anxious families awaited news. Come the new year, some light would be shed on the disappearances. In some of the cases, it only deepened the mystery. First, in January 2003, 27-year-old Willem Myers was charged with the murder of Erica Dalkeist. He admitted he was drinking with Erica. They got into a fight, he killed her and buried her in a shallow grave on his grandparents' farm. Then, in February 2003, Christopher Jenkins' body was found sticking out of a thin frozen ice in Mississippi River. A month later, Noel's body was found in a lake. No trace of Josh Gimmond has ever been found. Police are not sure what happened to the three young men who died and disappeared from college towns in the Midwest after a night of drinking within 10 days of each other. One obvious answer is they all had tragic accidents because they drank too much. However, the chances of three men similar in age that looked alike, had similar builds, all dying and disappearing from the same area over the span of 2 weekends are pretty low. The police have not said if the deaths and disappearances are connected. In the case of Michael Knoll, police have not ruled out foul play. Christopher Jenkins' death is considered a homicide, and police are still looking for clues as to what happened to Josh Gimmond.
Yeah, interesting case. Reminds me of some of the 411 cases that David Politis talks about. I know you've got one there in Manchester called The Pusher, where they keep finding college-age guys that had a little bit to drink in the canal under mysterious circumstances. I don't know what they're up to. I think last time I read it was like 20 bodies that they fished out of the water.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Far too many for it to be just a coincidence that they had too much to drink and fell in the canal. So strange circumstances there, and a lot of mysterious coincidences. Number 6, we have the mysterious death of Dan Casolaro. August 1991, 44-year-old freelance writer Daniel Casolaro told family and friends that he was going to meet a source in Martinsburg, West Virginia. On August 10th, he was found dead in his hotel room in Martinsburg. His wrists had been slashed a dozen times, leaving a quite gory scene for the maid to find. Police declared the death a suicide. Casolaro's family immediately disagreed with the ruling. They did admit that Casolaro was having some anxiety over his story's progress and over his mortgage payments, but they do not believe he was slashed his wrist in such a gruesome manner simply because he was terrified of blood. Also, Casolaro's brother said that Casolaro was getting death threats in the months leading up to his death. Danny had told his brother that if he were to die in an accident, he should not to believe it. Finally, all Casolaro's notes on the mysterious story he was working on, called The Octopus, went missing at the time of his death. To date, they've never been found. Now, The Octopus was a sprawling conspiracy story that reached the upper echelons of American politics, and it all revolved around a lawsuit called the Inslaw case. Inslaw was a small Washington-based tech company that designed a computer program called the Prosecutor's Management Information System, or PROMIS, for the Justice Department in the mid-1970s. The Promise program was designed to track criminal cases across the world, and the Justice Department vowed to buy the updated version when it was released, but never followed through with the purchase. This led to Inslaw suing the United States government, charging them with software piracy. By the time Castellaros started working on the story, the case had been in the court system for 10 years. Castellaros' tale was about what the U.S. government was doing with Promise, and much of the information he had gathered from the story came from a man named Michael Reconsuto. Reconsuto said that the U.S. government hired him to modify some code in Promise that would allow the U.S. government to spy on anyone they sold the program to. Also, Reconsuto claimed that in 1980, Ronald Reagan's campaign team paid Iran $40 million to delay the release of the hostages at the U.S. Embassy during the Iran hostage crisis. The delay would reflect poorly on Jimmy Carter, who was seeking re-election, but it would help Ronald Reagan, who had taken a strong stance against Iran. Evidence that Reconsuto pointed to was that the hostages were released just 20 minutes after Reagan made his inaugural address on January 20th, 1981. Of course, nothing in the octopus has ever been fully substantiated, and Castellaro's death is still considered a suicide. That's one to look into if you like conspiracies and rabbit holes. That's a lot more
Definitely.
than we could do 2 or 3 shows on just Danny Castellaro's death alone.
Yeah.
But that's a fascinating
Just
unsolved
to go
mystery.
through some of the comments here. Andy is saying that is weird. Dezombified, that was not suicide. Andy again, oh, he was killed. And a sweet comment here from Josie Kitty. Hey, by the way, welcome into the stream. I enjoy 13's voice immensely. Great reading voice.
Oh, thank you.
And Mia says, right, reminds me of my father's voice reading to me.
I got that comment the other day over on I do the narrations for the Missing Persons and Mysteries channel, and somebody left a comment, said this narrator is every man's dad. So I told Tyson, I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment, but I took it as a compliment. So.
Yeah.
But I don't like my voice personally. I thank everyone for the compliments on it, but I don't like the way I sound, never have, but people seem to like it. I seem to have a calming, relaxing effect on some people, so have at it.
Yep, definitely. And I agree, amazing voice, definitely. And I have a theory on their missing persons, by the way.
Yeah?
Yep.
They're missing. They've hidden themselves and cannot be seen. That's from Monty Python. So what's your theory?
They were all abducted by a secret government firm as test subjects for a Bigfoot virus that they've been injected with, released back into the woods, and now because they're Bigfoots, they're all elusive.
Very interesting. Now, I liked Mitch Hedberg's take on that the reason there's never been a picture of Bigfoot that wasn't blurry is that the creature itself is blurry. So whenever you see a blurry picture of Bigfoot, that's the way it normally looks. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's a pretty good theory.
R.I.P. Mitch Hedberg. Also, Anime Odemy, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a coon's age. Glad to see you in here. How are things down in Texas? And I see Sean Graham, Chasing the Truth Paranormal. Howdy, Sean.
Yeah, welcome in. Enjoyed the
shows you've been having lately. Sean's been covering the coronavirus and 5G, among other things. His shows kind of scare me sometimes. He's got some frightening stuff over there, but it's well worth listening to. Check him out on Saturday nights on the Dark Waters Paranormal Network.
Absolutely. Next we have here the witchcraft murder. Charles Walton lived all 74 years of his life in Lower Quinton in the Stratford-on-Avon district of Warwickshire, England. That life would come to an end on Valentine's Day 1945 in a strange and unusual murder that is still unsolved over 70 years later. Walton was well liked in the community and worked on local farms all the way up until his fateful day. Sorry. Despite being liked, odd rumors about him circulated around the small town. For example, he could tame wild dogs with his voice and birds ate from his hand. There was also speculation that he was even involved in witchcraft and or black magic. On the day he was murdered, Walton was working in an area called Moan Hill, a place steeped in strange stories of bizarre happenings. There are many tales of the devil visiting the area, and there have been sightings of phantom hounds who people believe belong to the Celtic king of the underworld, Aron. According to the Celtic beliefs, Aron would roam on a white horse with a pack of white hounds with red ears, looking for souls to take to the underworld. On the day Walton was murdered, his body was found by locals it was gruesome, to say the least. There was a trouncing hook through his throat and a pitchfork driven through his body and into the ground, pinning him. On his back, an inverted cross had been carved into his skin. The police thought that witchcraft may have been involved. Someone may have believed Walton was an actual witch and killed him to break what they thought was a curse. There is one final strange thing to note. When the police were searching Walton's home, they found a book published in 1929 called Folklore, Old Customs and Superstitions in Shakespeare Land. In the book, there is a passage about a man named Charles Walton, who died after seeing a ghost 60 years before Walton's murder. While far-fetched, there are some people who believe that Walton was involved with witchcraft and that the Walton who died in 1885 was the same one who was murdered in 1945. There has never been a suspect named in the witchcraft murder, and the killing of the 74-year-old man will probably remain unsolved.
Interesting. So they think he died in 1885 and then again in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
He was a witch. Interesting.
Or a time
Andy,
traveler.
I'd like to hear Andy weigh in on that one. What do you think about that one,
Yeah.
Andy? Are you familiar with that case?
Aw, thank you, Andy.
Okay.
I am actually English, Mia, yeah. My other accents are just mimics.
Yeah, she does an Appalachian accent that fooled some professionals. A linguistics expert from college in North Carolina listened to it and said, "Oh, she's definitely from somewhere in Western North Carolina." It was a very good accent.
Animatome, there is a couple of videos where, I do actually use that accent.
The Abandoned
one
House.
on my channel.
I was on my channel, and then I can't remember the one on your channel.
The Voice in the World.
Yeah.
Is the one that's on my channel. And the Abandoned House is the one that is on Steve's channel, 70 Past Midnight. If you wanted to check out the other accents, that's where you'll find them.
That was the one that fooled the friend of mine that's a linguistics professor at Western Carolina University. He listened to that, and I played a little bit of it for him, and he said, "No, she's definitely Western North Carolina," and he was going through the little different areas. And it's, north of this and south of that, but down in there, that's the way they talk. I'm like, "Would you believe she's from Manchester, UK?" And he's like, "Get out of here." I love
Although
tripping
I
up.
don't really have my northern accent anymore. I'm kind of glad of that. I hated it. I have kind of more of a slightly southern English accent now, I think.
Do you want to try to give them a little bit of one of them live, or I like your California accent that you do.
Not really prepared for that right now.
Okay, thought I'd just
Well, what I can say is as a little treat for everybody, and to kind of give us a little bit of time off on working on projects, because there is just so much that we've had going on in the background. I decided that this Friday I'm gonna do another live stream. So if you guys want to join the live stream and come check us out, what I may do is a little extra treat is I'll do one of the live streams in one of my other accents there.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we've been recording some stuff before, it literally sounded like there was another person there. I'm like, okay, is Tanya holding a gun on you, making you read that?
Well, now you've let the cat out of the bag.
Okay, let's get back into the mysteries here. The murder of Betsy Ardsma, excuse me, at about 4 p.m. on November 28, 1969, Betsy Ardsma, 22, went to the library at Penn State University to do some research for a paper she was writing. She was dressed up, which led to speculation that she was going to meet someone. Sometime between 4:45 and 5 p.m., Betsy walked down a narrow row in the library stacks. They were so narrow that the only way two people would be able to pass one another would be if they both turned to their sides. Also, the bookcases extended all the way to the end of the wall, so the only way back out of the row would be to turn around and walk back out the way you came in. When Betsy walked down the aisle, someone snuck up behind her. Using his or her right hand, he or she plunged a single-edged hunting knife once into Betsy's heart. There were no screams or defense wounds. Doctors said that it would have taken a considerable amount of force to get through the breastbone in one stab. After stabbing Betsy, the assailant pulled the knife out and took it with him or her. Betsy fell to the ground and died within 5 minutes of bleeding out. The crime baffled the police and terrified the campus. There have been several suspects in the 45 years since the crime, but no one has ever been convicted of the brutal murder of the innocent young college student. And I've read about this case, and even more importantly, nobody knows why. She never been connected to anything weird or strange or any other type of criminal activity. No idea who would want her dead, even her family members. Nobody had any known vendettas against them or anything like that. So just one of those, just a mysterious murder out of the blue, but somebody had some reason to want her dead. And that's just as part of the mystery is who did it, is why.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting case. Worth looking into. Betsy Ardsma.
Next we have here the two Mary Morrises. On October 12th, 2000, 48-year-old Mary Henderson Morris left her Houston home to go to work. Her husband began to worry when he couldn't reach her all day and called 911 when he found out that she never got to work. Sadly, her burnt-out car was found later that night with her charred remains inside. Her remains were so badly destroyed that she had to be identified using her teeth. There was no apparent motive, and Henderson Morris's family didn't think she had any enemies. Then 4 days later, in a remote area, Mary Morris of Houston was found murdered in her car. This time, it was Mary McGinnis Morris, a 39-year-old nurse. She had been shot once in the head, and the killer tried to make it look like a suicide. However, it was clear that McGinnis Morris was killed. She was doing some errands and called her friend from her car. She said that a man who gave her the creeps was following her in another car less than 15 minutes later. McGinnis Morris called 911. However, the police have never released the details of the call. There remain a lot of questions regarding the murders of the two Mary Morrises, who didn't know each other. The only similarities they shared were they were both white, professional women who lived in Houston and had the same name. Were the murders connected? Was Henderson Morris killed in a case of mistaken identity when Mary McGuinness Morris was the real target? Or are they unconnected and it just happened that two women with the same name were murdered in the same city within 4 days of each other? Unless someone comes forward, these questions may never be answered.
That's strange. Like, kill the one, like, whoops, that's the wrong one. Go get the right one. Or kill everybody with that name.
Yeah. It's odd.
Well, we're running up against the clock here for you, Tanya. What time did you need to leave today?
May just have enough time to squeeze the last two in there.
You want to go ahead and take the next one as well then, and I'll finish it off after you leave.
Yeah, sure. The Annecy I'm sorry.
Fill on your sword there.
Is it Anarchy or Annecy?
Annecy.
Annecy. The Annecy shooting. In September 2012, 50-year-old Saad al-Hili and his wife, 47-year-old Iqbal al-Hili, his 74-year-old mother-in-law, and his two daughters that were 4 and 7 were on vacation from their home in Britain. They had visited Geneva, Switzerland on September 5th. They were in France near Annecy Lake in the French Alps. Around 3:45 p.m. on that day, Saad and his eldest daughter were standing outside of their car in an isolated area when a gunman approached them. They got back in the car and were trying to escape by doing a U-turn. In the process of trying to escape, they might have struck 45-year-old cyclist Sylvain Mollier, who appeared to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The gunman started firing and all the adults, including Mollier, were shot and killed. Amazingly, the two girls survived. After the murders, many theories emerged as to what the motive was. One thing that wasn't clear was why the al-Hili family would go on vacation in September, just as school was starting for the girls. This hinted that their trip was something much more than a leisurely family getaway. As police began to investigate, they learned that Saad al-Hili had come from Iraq as a child. There were some theories that his father had a bank account with connections to Saddam Hussein. This could have been the reason for the trip to Geneva, because Saad could have been checking on those Swiss bank accounts. There is also a theory that al-Hili, who worked for a satellite technology company, was meeting with Mollier, who worked in the nuclear industry, and they were planning on exchanging information. Others have questioned if Mollier was actually the target and that al-Hili's was collateral damage. Another strange twist in the case that may be completely coincidental is that Iqbal al-Hili had been in the United States between 1999 and 2000. While there, she had been married to a dentist. Oddly enough, Iqbal's former husband died of a heart attack on the same day as the al-Hilis were murdered in France. This has only led to more speculation of some type of conspiracy. With so many different theories and no real evidence pointing to them in a definitive direction, please think it will take a stroke of luck to solve the case.
Yeah, and I agree. That one's got more twists and turns. I've watched a couple different shows on that one and listened to some podcasts, and was it the family? Was it the guy on the bicycle? Were they all involved? It's an interesting case, and I've heard it put out several different ways, and they could all be correct or incorrect. So it's just fascinating. It's one of those I don't think they'll ever know, like I said, unless they get some stroke of luck or a confession or something out of somebody, which isn't likely at this far into it, I don't think.
Yeah.
But another fascinating case.
Yep, definitely.
Go on into the next one here. The Southern Pacific Axeman. In January 1911, in Rayne, Louisiana, a mother and her 3 children were found murdered in their beds. 2 weeks later, just a few towns over, a family of 5 was killed as they slept. Next, a family in San Antonio fell victim to the murder. The killer ventured back into Louisiana and continued to break into the homes of families to kill everyone in the house. Between January 1911 and April 1912, there were 6 families killed, 49 men, women, and children in all. Besides just wiping out entire families, there were a few other things that tied the murders together. Notably, all the families were of mixed-race people. Secondly, while the murders happened over a range of 400 miles, they all happened along the route that the Southern Pacific Railroad passed through. Third, all the murders were committed with an axe. One clue as to the motive was a note that was left at one of the murders that said, "When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble human." 5. Now, besides the human 5 part, the note was taken from Psalms 9, verse 12. The human 5 referred to how many people he had killed in that particular house. This led police to believe that the murderer was a member of the African American community who was killing people he thought had tainted blood. The only suspects were members of a congregation called Sacrifice Church, which had voodoo connections, but no one was ever charged. The only person who may have witnessed the murder was a woman in San Antonio. On August 6, 1912, a woman awoke when she was hit in the arm with an axe. She screamed, and the attacker, who was a lone man, ran off into the night. His identity, and if he was indeed the Southern Pacific Axeman, remains a mystery. Well, there you have it, folks. That's our take on 10 somewhat lesser known mysteries, unsolved crimes, unsolved mysteries there, if you will.
That last one, though, it kind of sounded like some religious vigilante.
Yeah, 49 people, and with an axe. Yeah, and I can't imagine. I mean, I have no idea, and it sounds rather gruesome, but I can't imagine it would be that easy to kill people with an axe.
Yeah.
And then everybody in the house. I think once you kill the first one, the others would be up running around, and you'd have to maybe chase them down or something. I don't know the inner workings of how that would work, but it's frightening to think about. And that'd be a terrible way to die too.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely very strange, all of them.
Yeah, if you know something, dial 911 and tell the cops. Now, there are numbers set up where if you did have any information, you can call in. I used to have the number memorized that they gave out at the end of Unsolved Mysteries that you could call in, like a 1-800 number, 1-888 or something like that. But sometimes, it can be decades or longer, and somebody somewhere will spill something or remember something that they saw that they never told anybody about. So, as it said at the beginning, maybe you can help solve a mystery.
We had Dezombified have somebody on the show tomorrow.
And Henrique.
I
can't remember the last name.
Darn it.
If stereotype it in the chat there.
Sorry.
We'll attempt to not butcher it too badly. But they've got a great guest coming in tomorrow. Even though I can't pronounce his name.
And I'm going to have to pretty much wrap it up here and go pick up my babies.
Yeah, be careful out there. Stay warm, and it was sunshiny today though, so maybe that'll just be a little windy out there for you.
Yeah. See when I get out there.
But as always, thank you for joining me here as we hear Enrico Quato.
Enrique Quato.
Yeah, I was thinking Quattro, something like that. I was close. Enrique Quato will be here tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
Loves to you too, Andy. Loves to everybody in the chat. And as always, Steve, it is always a pleasure.
Always. Thank you. Very, very good saying. Looking forward to that live stream this weekend with you on your channel.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you also to Dezombified for having us back again.
Have a great day. Give our love to Jason and Harmony, and maybe they get to listen. This might be a little bit dark one for them to listen to playback on, but Who knows?
We shall see. But getting into the horror films lately is great.
Yeah. She was asking, "Does that make me a bad parent?" Like, no, my little girl was, or she's not a little girl anymore, but when she was little, she was watching Nightmare on Elm Street and things like that before she even started school. So I think sometimes it's good to expose them to stuff because she knew it was just a movie. And she did walk around for a while saying some things that Freddy Krueger said that wouldn't have been very appropriate at school. So I had to admonish her on that a little bit. But yeah, I had a talking Pee Wee Herman doll that she was terrified of, but she slept with a talking Freddy Krueger doll after watching the Elm Street movie. She loved Freddy Krueger. So. But I think
Awesome.
it's good to expose kids to things, broaden their horizons a little bit, and as long as they know what's real and what isn't. So.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
anyway, you have a great day. Be safe out there.
Much love, Z Horde family. And I'm UniCorpse Tales, and I'm out for now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And we'll see you on Tanya's stream Friday night, did we say? And then we'll be back here next week again, as far as I know, Tuesday and Wednesday. I think that's our regular days now. So again, thanks for joining us, everyone, today. We're going to go ahead wrap it up here. Take off. Be good to yourselves and to one another. Have a good day, good morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm Steve Stockton, and I love you all. Thanks for joining us. And we are out of here. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.